بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
وآتوا الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا. So we are still discussing the matters of Sharia. What constitutes Sharia? What constitutes righteousness in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So confining the Sharia in one thing is wrong, because Sharia is a very comprehensive religion revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is supposed to be taken in total. Allah says, تؤمنون ببعض الكتاب وتكفرون ببعض فما جزاء من يفعل ذلك منكم إلا خزي في الحياة الدنيا. So we have heard a lot, and this is just a summary. We have been dealing with this for almost a month now, and this is just a summary of that which can come to the mind, which is included in the lessons that we can extract from these ayat, and this is the nature of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah says, وَالْمُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِهِمْ إِذَا عَهَدُوا. And those people of virtue and value, these are the people who fulfill the promise, the covenant. Whatever they promise, they keep the promise. Get it? They keep the promise whenever they take the ahd. The first promise between humankind and somebody is that between human beings and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You get it? وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى شَهِدْنَا أَنْ تَقُولُوا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّا كُنَّا عَنْ هَذَا غَافِلِينَ. So that's the first agreement between humankind, and somebody is between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who brought them into existence. What was the promise? To worship Him alone and to follow the law and the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to put in mind that the first act to be fulfilled is that act between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His creation. And then the act between you and somebody amongst creation. Whatever you promise, you keep the promise. Not keeping the promise is an attitude of hypocrisy. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَرْبَعٌ مَنْ كُنَّ فِيهِ كَانَ مُنَافِقًا خَالِصًا وَمَنْ كَانَتْ فِيهِ خَصْلَةٌ مِنْهُنَّ كَانَتْ فِيهِ خَصْلَةٌ مِنْ نِفَاقٍ حَتَّى يَدَعَهَا. There are 4 qualities, 4 attitudes. Whoever practices all of these 4 qualities, he will be the real munafiq. This is nifaq amali, as we have heard earlier. So whoever has these qualities, he is a real munafiq. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ فِيهِ خَصْلَةٌ مِنْهُنَّ كَانَتْ فِيهِ خَصْلَةٌ مِنْ نِفَاقٍ. Whoever has one of them, he has one of the qualities of munafiqeen, وَلِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ حَتَّى يَدَعَهَا, until he leaves it. The first one, he says, إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. When he speaks, he lies. Lying has never been permitted Islamically, except in those areas where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just said, according to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The person should stay away from it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates it, and it carries an evil consequence. In this life, a liar will never be respected. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سَيَنَالُهُمْ غَضَبٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَذِلَّةٌ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُفْتَرِينَ. Those people who attributed lies to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are going to be faced by wrath and anger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a humiliation and disrespect in this life. There is no community, no place, no religion that respects a liar, except one. The tashayyu', because they believe in lying, is part of their deen. You have to do taqiyya, which is nothing but lie, for your deen to be completed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us to the truth. He says, إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ. Whenever he promises, he breaks the promise. وَإِذَا عَاهَدَ غَدَرَ. Whenever he promises, he make an agreement, he will cheat in that agreement. وَإِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ. Whenever he is entrusted with amana, he will betray the amana. These are 3, right? Number 4, وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرَ. Whenever he argues, he goes beyond the limit. These are the qualities of the non-believers, the hypocrites among them. Because a munafiq is worse than the normal kafir. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ وَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُمْ نَصِيرًا. So the person should try and ponder and pay attention to this ayah, because it directs the way a Muslim should live in this life. Get it? All of these values and virtues, you can find them in this statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is just I don't know what is the percentage of this ayah in comparison to the remaining of the Qur'an. It's just one ayah. But without exaggeration, if we're going to give it a try, we will talk a lot. So Allah says, وَالْمُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِهِمْ إِذَا عَهْدُوا. So try as much as you can, don't break a promise. If you know you're going to be weak in that regard, just don't promise. Just don't promise. Tell whoever you're dealing with, inshallah, I will do it. If you say inshallah, then you are not able to do it, again, that's okay. You're not breaking a promise. You're not breaking a promise. But don't say I will. Don't say I agree. And then somebody entrusted you and then later on you call him and tell him, I can't. Unless if there is a necessity for that. قَالَ وَالْمُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِهِمْ إِذَا عَهَدُوا وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَحِينَ الْبَأْسِ. And those people who are patient, my brothers and sisters, if any of them is here, no success in life without patience. You must be patient for you to succeed in this life. This life carries heavy types of calamities, especially when you decide to follow the correct way. Listen to my words. The moment you decide to follow the correct way and the path of the Prophet ﷺ, this is just like you are saying, I'm ready for the test now. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَنْ يُتْرَكُوا أَنْ يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, just because you say you believe, you will not be tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. Allah says, we have tested those who came before them. What does that mean? You're going to be this. So test is part of the life of a believer. It's actually good for him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. Those who are patient in the times of al-ba'sa, wal-dharra, wa-hin al-ba's. Patience is divided into three types. Patience when it comes to righteousness. Patience when it comes to staying away from the evil doings. And patience when it comes to calamity and test. Patience in righteousness. To be patient because they really need patience. You know that. Some circumstances is really difficult. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be patient. You want to sleep, you're so exhausted. But then you have to go to the masjid and pray. Get it? No. It needs patience. Patience in keeping them continuous. You got it. Being consistent in what you're doing, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. It needs patience. So we need to be patient when we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep them continuous. Patience when it comes to the evil deed. But definitely it needs patience. Especially in the time we're living nowadays, we need patience. We have all types of sins, surrounded by all kinds of sins. So, and in some situation you will be asking the following questions. That person who maintained his righteousness, how did he manage to do that? You're not asking about somebody who went astray, how did he go astray? Allah, we're living somehow a situation like that. The person who goes astray, you are not questioning. In some environment, you shouldn't question actually how did he go and how did he accept? Because we're surrounded by evil from any direction. So you will be questioning the one who becomes righteous. How did he manage? It's a miracle. He came out through it. The Prophet ﷺ talks about these days to be the days of patience. Get it? The one who is holding upon his religion is just like somebody who is holding upon the fire. So we really need patience to stay away from them because they're very attractive. Evil is very attractive. So what is the way out? When I look at the life we're living, promiscuity, haram, injustice, and all types of evil things we have. What is the way out? The way out is to have a good company. I really emphasize on this. Having a good company, somebody to be next to you, that you cooperate with in your journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's very important. In this time, you cannot live alone. Make sure you get somebody who will be the person that you will contact. From time to time, you sit with, you share ideas with. He reminds you, you remind him. After, of course, the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This one I just consider to be part of our nature. Should be like that. You need a good company to always wake up that taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your heart. Next is to stay away from anything that is called evil. And I really want you to pay attention to this because it's very important. It is very important to know that for you to be saved from these calamities that we are living in nowadays, you just have to stay away from evil. Look at it as Dajjal. I don't think there is any other way more than this. Just look at evil like Dajjal. When Dajjal comes, what was the advice? by the Prophet ﷺ. He said what? Man sami'a bid-dajjali falyan'a anhu. Whoever hears about Dajjal, let him stay away from him. Why? Because no matter how much strong is your iman, you might not be able to confront Dajjal or to stand his shubuhat, doubtful issues he's going to bring. He will sweep your iman within the blink of an eye. So what is the way out? Just don't go to him. That's why evil things that you know, and you should know actually, you shouldn't test your iman, just don't go. Then your iman will be protected. Unless if you have no any other option except to go, then go and fight for your religion. When I say fight for your religion means be very careful and understand what you need to take in that place and take it and leave the place immediately. This one you apply without any specification, you apply it in everything. Evil, you shouldn't go. No option and you have to go for it, go for it. But then take that which you need and leave. Do you get the idea? Otherwise you will regret a lot. That will be the beginning of the door you open which will never be closed. Don't you ever test your iman. You test everything. Test your wealth, test your business, test your life. So no problem. But don't test your iman. Because when the iman is taken from you, where do you go? Auzubillah. So test everything, no problem. But don't test your iman. And you know, in this life, whenever we value something, we don't put it in a test. You get it? But we always test our iman. And many people tested their iman and they lost it. So test everything, no problem. Telling you, they tested the iman and they lost. Those people who are visiting the websites designed by the evildoers, you get it, apostate. Many of them, they lost their religion, you know that? I told you in this member, people who told me that they have doubt in Islam. Where did you get that? They say we got it from the internet. I had a debate with somebody who also technically lost their religion completely, but he still called himself Muslim. Almost 1 hour. Alhamdulillah, after 1 hour, he was blocked. At the end, I asked him, what now? He said, as for now, I'm convinced. I told him, no, make it not as for now. Make it forever. So I asked him, where did he get this? He said, from the internet. All of this shubuhat, criticism against the Sharia, he got it from the internet. It wasn't like that before. But when he decided to test the iman by visiting those evil websites, this is what happened. We have many, my brothers and sisters, this internet comes with huge amount of blessings and also at the same time huge amount of misguidance and evil and trash. That's why I said when it comes to religious matters, nobody is supposed to check the internet except somebody who knows what he's looking for. That's a real student of knowledge and the scholars. You might be surprised, but go to the society and see what is happening to our young people, brothers and sisters, then you will understand. Because how do you convince me that somebody is going to the internet to look for the fatwa in the religion and he cannot differentiate? He doesn't have the tools, the criteria to help him to differentiate between the evil and the false and the good. But when he goes looking for fatwa, he has a bunch of suggestion comes to him, which one is right? He doesn't know. So he's going to follow his aql. Which one sounds logical to his aql, he will follow that. So people look at this kind of advice to be very conservative, right? But we have to also at the same time look at what is happening to our brothers and sisters. Are we making forward? Or people are losing their iman? And also, is it adding to our smartness? Well, to me, it's not. People are becoming dumb. They don't benefit anything. They lost the deen, right? خَسِرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. Allah SWT is the truth. So patience when it comes to evil doings is really, really necessary. Hold upon the religion of Allah SWT. Stay away from that which is wrong. I know it's so itchy sometimes. So itchy sometimes. To be surrounded by all evil, but you just have to say no. That's why the hadith says, this dunya is like what? Jail, sijin for the believer. How is it sijin? Because you're restricted. You can't do anything. You go out, you see what? You'll see a lot of evil doings. I mean, if you're going to follow the desire, natural disposition of humankind, what will happen? You're also going to incline to it. Human beings, if there's no religion, they will go astray. But then they are doing whatever they do. You guys study in the university, you see them, right? Playing with girls, do this and that. And naturally a person has a desire. But then Islam says, no, don't even look. Not even don't do what they do, no, don't even look. Isn't it a restriction? Yes. That's why whoever claimed that we have this ultimate freedom. No, we don't have. Muslim is not free to do whatever he wants. No, there is a religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're free to do things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you should do, or He says you can do. Other than that, you're tightened, you're restricted. You go and see people drinking wine, right? They have a lot of imagination. They said it gives them relief. And you have, in some communities nowadays, wallahi, what we never heard of. Sisters are taking these drugs because they believe in that which is told to them that it gives relief. You're talking about not even young sisters, which is also rampant, but even people at home also, they're going to that. Patience is needed. Having the right approach, right company is always good, as I said. Sabirin fil ba'sa'i wad-dharra'i. The last type of patient is to be patient in what? In the calamities, in difficulties, and hardship. You get it. During the hardship, during the illness, this is al-ba'sa' wad-dharra'. During the illness, you are supposed to be patient. To know that this is what is decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the patience is needed to get the expiation from that. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِذَا حَبَّ اللَّهُ عَبْدًا ابْتَلَاهُ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves a person, He will test him. So test comes in that manner to serve one of the following purposes. There are some other benefits, but this is what comes to our mind when we look at the test in general. Through the glasses of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, it comes to do what? To remove your sins. That's what. To give you an expiation. To remove your sins. And also it comes to wake you up. These natural disasters that are taking place, look at those people. Wallahi, I wish that is Iman. I was conversing with some people who were there in the US, this hurricane we hear about that. That's the best moment for these people to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But look at the word, look at the comments, look at what people are saying. You will remember nothing but the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَمَا يَزِيدُهُمْ إِلَّا طُغْيَانًا كَبِيرًا. We're bringing these natural disasters to scare them, but it doesn't increase them in anything except arrogance. Otherwise, look at what is happening. And in some places they were swept by this thing, gone. And at the same time also, this part is in the hurricane, the other part also is in fire. The wild fire also coming. You see what is going on. But they're still linking it to the scientific analysis. We have already predicted that happens naturally. This place has this and that. Yeah. Accept Islam and see. Bismillah ta'ala, the one who controls this nature that you're talking about, will stop this calamity from coming to you. That's very simple with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when it comes usually with this purpose, to wake a Muslim up. Many Muslims, I'm telling you, they were sleeping until the time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hit them with the test. They wake up, they become righteous people. They get it until they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the test is what? Good for them. It comes to wake you up. So it is so evil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing a person, but he is still sleeping. And it comes also sometimes to increase your love in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said, sometimes there is a position which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to take a believer, but he cannot reach that position if he's not tested. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test him so that he can go to that position. You know, he will never lose as long as you receive a test with what? Rida. Remember this always, eh? Rida. Not after the test already left and then you said, khalas, radit. You lost it. Although it's a virtue, it shouldn't be continuous in your anger, in your sadness. You get an adam rida. It's okay to come back, but you lost that first part of it. الصبر عند الصدمة الأولى. He was talking to that sister who was crying upon the death of her son, and she doesn't want to be patient. The Prophet ﷺ said, be patient. She said, إِلَيْكَ عَنِّي فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَبْ بِمُصِيبَتِي. She said, get out of this place. She was telling who? That's Rasulullah ﷺ. Say, you are telling me be patient because you don't have a similar situation. Meaning, if your child died, you will never tell me. Be patient. You also will cry in the way I'm crying. Jahl, Rasul Faham. So the Prophet ﷺ, what did he do? He left. So when somebody reminded her about the evil of her rejection, she went very quickly to meet the Prophet ﷺ, whom she met. She says, Ya Rasulullah, she apologized and she says, ask me there as well. I will be patient. Allah, I never recognize you. She said, I will be patient. He says, إِنَّمَا الصَّبْرُ عِنْدَ الصَّدْمَةِ الْأُولَى. Patience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants is the one that happens the moment you are hit by the calamity. That's a very special moment Allah wants to see. How did you receive it? Get it? How did you receive it? But after it goes, because naturally you cannot stay in that situation. A day will come, you will stop being angry. There is no favor anymore. But the special one is when the thing happened, you should rida to the qada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Heen al-bas. And those people who are patient also when they receive the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's during the jihad. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا تتمنوا لقاء العدو وسألوا الله العافية. Don't you ever wish to meet your enemy. This is the hadith that everyone who criticizes Islam should know. That Islam is not a religion of troublemaking. You see, this is the concept that is governing the jihad. They were so happy they're going to meet the enemy because they want to have the shahada. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تتمنوا لقاء العدو وسألوا الله العافية. Don't you ever wish to meet your enemy. Always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you peace. That's the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should always look for peace. But if meeting the enemy is imminent, then you're supposed to be patient. But don't look for it. When it is imminent, you have no any other way out, then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you have to be patient. That's why the system we have in Islam, no system has it. We don't cause trouble, but we cannot just keep quiet when somebody come and hit you and then you just keep quiet and watch over. No, it doesn't go like that. Self-defense is the law that is accepted by everyone throughout the nations. But we are not the people that will go and attack people just like that. No, we don't do that. Do you get the idea? But that is a self-defense. Or somebody who is preparing to fight you. This is what everyone does. So if the fighting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is eminent, in the battlefield, we have something which nobody has, which is nobody is allowed to run away. Allah says, إِن تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ فَإِنَّهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ كَمَا تَعْلَمُونَ وَتَرْجُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَرْجُونَ. If you suffer, they also suffer. But you wish something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which they don't have. That's the difference between you and them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يُوَلِّهِ يَوْمَئِذٍ دُبَرَهُ إِلَّا مُتَحَرِّفًا لِقِتَالٍ أَوْ مُتَحَيِّزًا إِلَى فِئَةٍ فَقَدْ بَاءَ بِغَضَبٍ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَمَأْوَاهُ جَهَنَّمُ. Whoever turns away, because turning away and running away from the battlefield means what? It means you agree with the Islam to be defeated. Patience is needed, and a person is not going to lose at all. If he is slain for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he goes to paradise. And you know how big is the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So jihad has its own principle. Not that which you hear from here and there these days. Jihad has its own topic and has its own principle. The scholars do not leave any single part of it. Get an idea? So that's why I always suggest that we should get connected to the real scholars who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you on how you're supposed to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't take action with your own hand. Very sensitive issue. So make sure that you contact the scholars, you stay with them to teach you how to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and observe your religion properly. قال وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون. These are the people who are the truthful ones. So all of those things that we have mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says these are the people who are the most truthful people. الذين صدقوا في إيمانهم. Truthful in their belief. It is not just they say they believe. No, these are the real believers. Allah says وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ, and these are the real muttaqeen. Al-muttaqun, these are the people who practice that which they are supposed to do and they stay away from anything which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like. So that's the first ayah. The second ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so we're done with that one. لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ إِلَى آخِرِهِ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم القصاص في القتلى الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد والأنثى بالأنثى. This ayah shows the real manifestation of justice in Islam. You can call it the universal justice, which includes everyone. Islam doesn't know this person or that person when it comes to the justice. No, every single person is equal. Even if he does not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to justice, everyone receives his right. Allah hates oppression. You cannot oppress even kuffar. Even non-Muslim, you're not allowed to oppress them. You can take your right, but to oppress somebody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really hates that. So this is one of the places where justice is manifested when it comes to the application of qisas. You know, there has to be authority. There has to be a leadership. We cannot live alone. There must be somebody to lead. You get it? Otherwise we will live in a state of chaos. The leaders, even if they are wrongdoers, there must be somebody who is a leader. That's wrongdoing between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have to stop it, but there must be a leader. Because life cannot be tolerated on earth where there is no leadership. Allah, you can't survive. We have seen places where the leadership are corrupt, but still people are living in a state of peace in their houses and everything. The time that government is overthrown, come and see the society and the community. And you have to be carrying a weapon to protect your family. Otherwise, there could be attack at any moment. So we can learn from the Salaf as-Salih when they say, yeah, it is better to have thousands of years with a corrupt leadership than having one day without leadership. That's true practically. We don't need their words actually. Just look at it practically. This is how it is. We don't support injustice. We don't like it. We hate it in the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates it. But we're just talking about the concept in the way it is. Together. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the good ones to lead us wherever they are. This is the dua we should be making. What is the job of a leader? Ibn Taymiyyah says, جميع الولايات في الإسلام. He says all leadership in Islam and authority and also appointment in the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are based on what? Preservation and protection of the religion of people. He says every wilayah, every responsibility in Islam, the main goal for that responsibility is to make sure that the religion is preserved. Those 5 objectives of Sharia must be preserved under the leadership of whoever is leading the believers. Religion comes first. Nobody can say, no, I have the freedom to leave Islam and the authority is going to leave it. That's wrong. They shouldn't. They have to interfere and tell them no. Because there are people who don't know how to think. The authority need to think for them. If you leave them, they will go astray. They will say, yes, this is our choice. No, you have to choose for them. They will become like those people who are taken to paradise by what? Bisalasin, by chains. If they remain in Islam from the heart, they just don't, they remain in Islam from the heart, it's okay. They might go to paradise. But at least the authority should stop them from publicizing their rejection of the religion of Allah. If they go and do it in secret, nobody knows, and that's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they go to hell. This is what they choose for themselves. But to publicize apostasy, the authority should tell the community no, and shouldn't give anyone a chance to do that. Likewise, the preservation of the life. Life has to be protected. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned when it comes to preservation of life. We have 3 types of punishment in Islam. Hudud, Qisas, Ta'zirat. Hudud, these are the fixed punishment which nobody is allowed to alter, to modify, to rectify, or to change. You just have to keep them in the way they are. A specific type of punishment which carry hudud. They carry had, zina, qadf, sariqah, they carry had. It's a fixed punishment. No authority should come and say, okay, now people are stealing a lot, let us cut their head off. No, Allah says what? Hand. Should go with them. We have places, person steals, they don't just cut off his hand. They cut off his life in a very ugly way. But still those places, they are one of the most evil places on earth. People still steal. Why? Because they don't do it correctly. Why when you have some government, when they cut off one hand and then nobody will steal in that community? Because this is from Allah. Ahkamul Hakimi. The one who knows what rectifies the life. He says do it in this way. When you do it, you succeed. When you do it in your own way, success will never be on your way. That's what you do. The second type is the Qisas. Qisas, these are the punishment which are a combination of the right of Allah and the right of humankind, but the right of humankind is greater. Greater in the sense they can forgive. And if they forgive, the Qisas is not going to be taken. Unlike the hudud. Hudud also, that is a right of humankind. Because when somebody committed zina, rape a sister, billah, that's injustice against her. Is that right? But can she say she forgive? No. If she says forgive, that forgiveness is useless, that's between him and her. But the authority must apply the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon him, even if she forgives. Because the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking the precedence here. Because there is no way for you to come. If you are going to leave it to the sisters, they have these weaknesses. Whenever the guy comes and cry in front of her, she will say, okay, I forgive. And then tomorrow he won't do it to another one, forgive also. Or sometimes if she knows that this guy might be killed, she will not even complain. No, we will not accept that. We will go with the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if somebody forgives, it doesn't stop the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Qisas is different from had. And we're going to talk about some of the application, inshallah, in this verse. The last one is Ta'zir. Ta'zir is any punishment that is not qisas and not hudud, which is left under the discretion of the leadership. The leaders should decide what to be done, which inshallah will stop people from doing what they're doing, which is wrong. That's the azim. It's very big, it's very wide. So just the judge and the leaders, they just have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do what is supposed to be done appropriately. Then the scholars argue, as a leader, how much can he beat? If let's say he wants to do ta'zir through beating, how many times can he beat? And can we financially punish a person? Some scholars said no, just punish physically but not financially. Some scholars said no, financially is okay, and that's the best opinion. The authority can punish a person financially. The money should go to the Bayt al-Mal. The poor people will benefit from that. You have somebody who feeds needy people. What is that? Financial punishment. You have the one who doesn't pay the zakat. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man addaha tayyibatan biha nafsuh." He said, whoever pays the zakah willingly, we take it from him. And whoever refuses to pay the zakah, we will take it by force. وَشَطَّرَ مَالِهِ. He said, we will take it by force and half of his wealth. According to some scholars, or some part of his wealth as a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a financial punishment. That's okay according to the leadership to do that, but the money doesn't go to their pocket, it goes to the pocket of who? The poor and the needy people. So back to that, if I want to punish him as an authority, I want to punish somebody who deserves to be punished physically. How much time can I beat him? Because nowadays this corporal punishment is what? Rejected by many. Some people have been criticizing Islam for this. How can you beat somebody 100 times? Come on. How can you beat somebody 80 times? How can you beat somebody 40 times? I ask you by Allah, go read the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and see how did he beat people. The one who drank wine, how was he beaten? Minna man yadribuhu bin-nar. Some of them beat him with what? Shoes. Some of them beat him with the jarid. This is part of the tree. Some of them with the cloth. Everyone is beating with what is in his hand. Somebody was counting, he said we beat him around 40 times. And the man stood up smiling. The pain is there, but it doesn't go that much. Do you get an idea? I watched a video, real thing, that they are beating somebody in jail who deserved, I don't know how many, 10 pieces of beating. And I was saying, wait a minute, so those people who are talking about beating in Islam, they beat him 40 times, they beat him 80 times, but still he can find a time to smile. And they can do it at once and he goes, right? Because the purpose is not just beating, no. That's why we do it in public, so that he will be embarrassed in front of people. Next time he will not put himself in this kind of disrespect and embarrassment. I've seen that one when they put the man, they ask him to lean to the wall, put his hand like this, and they uncover the part they want to beat him, in his body. And the guy came with, but when he gave him one, it goes with the flesh. In front of our eyes we see that. According to the law of that place, he can only be beaten 3 times. If he has to be beaten 10 times, they have to wait first. Because if they go, he might lose his life. This is too painful. You can see, we see that beats, then blood replaces. Islam will never come with this. And still people are committing crime. And when they do it in those days, they stop. Because they understand the message. So, ta'zir, how many times can a person be beaten? Some scholars said you cannot beat him more than 10 times. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يضرب فوق 10 جلدات إلا في حد من حدود الله. Nobody is allowed to beat more than 10 times except when that person commits something which is part of the had. And if it is a had, you go until 40, you go until 80. That's had. So some scholars said we don't go for more than had in ta'zir, more than 10 in ta'zir. Why? Because of this hadith. Some scholars said no, and that's the truth. It is up to the leader to decide. You can do more than that. One of our scholars was given an example. He says, for example, you're the one who says only 10. Imagine a situation like that. They brought to you in your court. Somebody stays with a sister who is not his wife. He did everything, anything that you can imagine, except that he did not do what is called zina. The actual zina was not done. 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 10 days, 1 year, like that, every day. They brought him to you, beat him 10 times, the Islamic beating. You get it? Don't do that again. They tell you, yes sir. Tomorrow also they will bring him back. Nobody will accept that, right? That's why they say, لَيْسَ الْخَبَرْ كَالْمُعَايَنَ. There was a judge, one of our professors in Medina was narrating the story, a judge in Medina, in Riyadh, when this evil thing started coming to the Arab countries. films that you see people committing sin and all of this nakedness. The first time it comes to the Amr bil Ma'ruf was very sensitive. If they get a person, they beat him up. God, this is so evil. It comes to the community and he just want people to stay away from it. So the judge was very annoyed. So the conflict between the Amr bil Ma'ruf and the judge. The judge is seeing that this beating is too harsh. How can you beat somebody just because he watched something? So according to the narration, they invited him one day because he becomes an obstacle. They're making a progress, but this judge, whenever the case comes to him, no, there is no case. They said they invited him to a walima, and they already have the thing already ready to be watched. While he was eating like that, and the TV was there, they switch it off. When he says, "Auzubillah, Auzubillah, Auzubillah," what is that? He told him, "Sir, this is actually why we beat people, and then you are the one who is releasing them. Whenever we bring you, you release them." According to the story, whenever they bring somebody to his court, get it, for that case, he beat him 1,000 times. Allah says, وَأَلْقَى الْأَلْوَاحَ وَأَخَذَ بِرَأْسِ أَخِيهِ يَجُرُّهُ إِلَيْهِ. And Musa and Allah told him, your people are worshipping a cow. What was the reaction? I will go and see. Doesn't react that much, but when he reached the place and he sees them with his own eyes, what happened? Through that Torah, and if he does it intentionally, that will take you out of the deep. But he lost control. So ta'zir can reach more than 10 beatings. It is basically according to the discretion of what? The leaders. The authority should decide. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, back to the ayah, he talks about qisas, which is one of the manifestation of the universal justice in this religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu kutiba alaykum al-qisasu fil qatl. Qisas has been written in you, prescribed for you, for your own benefit, for your own maslahah by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fil qatl. Wallahi, look at this beautiful justice, which we lost nowadays. Allah says, Al-Hurr bil-Hurr. In murder cases, qisas applies. Allah says, وَكَتَبْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ فِيهَا أَنَّ النَّفْسَ بِالنَّفْسِ. We have written upon them, as the Jew and the Christian, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the previous nation, He wrote upon them, النَّفْسُ بِالنَّفْسِ. Whoever killed, he should be killed. So, Al-Hurr bil-Hurr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, a free person killing a free person, he should be killed. وَالْعَبْدُ بِالْعَبْدِ. When a slave killed a slave, should be killed. وَالْأُنْثَى بِالْأُنْثَى. When a female killed a female, she should be killed. What if a free person killed a slave? Can we kill him? Many scholars said no. So what you have to do is to pay the qima of that slave to the one who owned the slave. Some scholars said no. Justice is to apply the same thing. He is human being. You kill him, we kill him. That is a hadith. Just because it is weak, otherwise we will use it to support this opinion. The one that says whoever kills his slave, we kill him. Man jada abdahu jada'na. Whoever cut off the nose of his slave, we will cut off his nose also. The same thing. وَكَذَلِكَ الْأُنْثَى. They have also the same controversy. There are some scholars who believe, although these are minorities, that if a man killed a woman, he shouldn't be killed. This is a very wrong opinion. And the ayah is this. Allah says, وَالْأُنْثَى بِالْأُنْثَى. حُرٌّ بِالْحُرِّ وَالْأُنْثَى. And this is a very wrong application. The correct opinion, with no doubt, if a person killed, a man killed a woman, he must be killed. What are we looking for? We're just looking for a blood equality. So don't misunderstand here. That we have to go to Tahlilat al-Dam. When somebody kills somebody, we have to take the blood and go to the hospital to check. Are they equal? This one is O minus and the other one is A. Okay, he's better than him. No kill. No, we're talking about, equality in blood in Sharia. Is there any difference in terms of blood in Sharia between a Muslim and another Muslim? No. How do you know that? The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Muslimuna tatakafa'u dima'uhum. Al-Muslimuna tatakafa'u dima'uhum. Muslims, their bloods are equal. No difference between an Arabi, an Ajami, white, black, blue, whatever color, long, tall, short, whatever, they're all the same. تَتَكَافَأُ دِمَاؤُهُمْ وَيَسْعَى بِذِمَّتِهِمْ أَدْنَاهُمْ. The Prophet ﷺ. The lowest person in the community can sign an agreement, and the Muslim, they're bound by that agreement. That's why during the time of Hani, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, during the Fath of Makkah, one of the kuffar went to the house of Hani and he protected himself. He seeks her protection. So when Ali bin Abi Talib came, he saw him, said, this is Aduullah, has to be killed. She went to the Prophet ﷺ, she complained. The Prophet ﷺ said, قَدْ أَجَرْنَا مَنْ أَجَرْتِ يَا أُمَّ هَانِي. The world has never been seen that, where a woman has this huge capacity of right. But unfortunately, who is criticizing Islam for women's right nowadays? Mostly sisters. So my advice to those sisters who are criticizing Islam for taking the right, I want them to go back to the history and see who was a woman before Islam. No religion can claim, no system, no ism can claim the same value and the credit that Islam has on the sisters. Wallahi, nowhere a sister ever got the freedom to get it, and she is treated as a queen except in Islam. Unfortunately, do they understand that? So what can you do? We just stay and watch. I like this principle. Just stay and watch. If a person denies the religion of Allah, just stay and watch. Allah, we have seen people, after the denial of the religion of Allah and the Sharia, they cry with their own eyes, they regret, and regret will not benefit. I'm talking about the sisters. How many regret? A lot. And who they are in Islam, when the Islam comes, who they are? They're queens. Real queens. Because we have the so-called queens, but they're not queens. The real queens is the one that stays. And the king is outside, participating in fightings and all of these things, but she's there resting. So technically, who is the most powerful person in society? The sister. Because he shouts outside when he goes home, she tells him, give me a cup of water. He brings. Give me this, he brings. So who is on top of us? She is leading. These are sisters in Islam, but unfortunately they don't understand. Wallahi, we have one of the professors in Medina, he was narrating his story in Russia. I told his story many times, but it has a lot of lessons. He says a sister came to me and she said she wants to interview me. And I said, go ahead. He said when she asked me about sisters, he said, why in Saudi Arabia, why do they have two countries in one? In this free mixing, they don't have it. It's like you have the total separation of sisters and brothers. They don't have it. So he was telling her, who is a woman in Islam? He said, wallahi, she cried. He said, I was talking and the woman was crying. Because she found something which she has been looking for. And the example, she gave him, she has to come out in the middle of the snow. She's shivering, asking a question, but she has to do that for her to get something to eat. At the same time, there was another sister who did not even go for secondary school. Okay, but she's living in a castle, treated like the real queen. That's who they are if they accept the religion of Allah SWT. Read the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and see the privileges that Allah SWT has given women in Islam. And then somebody who lost his akal will come and say that Islam oppressed the woman. You know what they said? They are oppressed in everything. The funniest one I heard is, they said even in Tawheed, the sisters are oppressed. Do you get it? That's the funniest thing I have. The most stupidity I heard concerning this matter of oppression is this, that sisters are oppressed in Tawheed. Why do you say La ilaha illa huwa? Why huwa? Why not here? A'udhu billah, a'udhu billah, a'udhu billah. They said in language, also even the Arabic language did not leave them. These people, when they get lost, they try to get everything. Do you know the oppression in the language? They said, if I said, how about Muhammad? Ahu Hayy? Abdurrahman would say, Naam Hayyun. Very nice word. But if I say, how about Khadija? I hear Hayya, right? They say, you see, the choice of word, they chose the snake for her. Hayya means, who is that Arab that construct the word like this because he wants to put it in the woman? That's why you have some people who also goes in the wrong direction in opposing the sisters. Somebody says woman is what? Sharrun labudda minhu. Is an evil that you cannot do without her. This word also is evil. Woman, we reject both. We reject the one who called them evil, and we reject the one who tell Islam is oppressing them, because we don't see that. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-Hurr bil-Hurr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open their heart, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one I want him to understand this, wallahi, is the one. It's not the man. Because man, they were there promoting them You get it? Bringing them up, because if they don't do that, they will never enjoy. And unfortunately, until now, those sisters don't understand. Somebody is making use of them, but they don't know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to truth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ عُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْءٌ فَاتِّبَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَأَدَاءٌ إِلَيْهِ بِإِحْسَانٍ ذَلِكَ تَخْفِيفٌ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever is forgiven. I mean, when somebody killed, he is supposed to kill. You have, okay, a question before I close with this topic. How many types of murder do we have? Shaykh Muhammad said 4. Because I was using intentionally the word should. How many types of murder should we have? 3. That's the correct answer. 0. But the classification given in Islam, in Islamic fiqh, according to the majority of the scholars, is that which is mentioned by Mufti al-Sudan. They have 3 types of murder: al-amdu, wa-shibh al-amdu, wal-khat'. This is what we talk about when somebody killed another person. But if you are talking about Islam killing a person, then you've got all of those things that Shaykh Muhammad mentioned. Somebody committed zina and he is muhsan, he should be killed. Somebody is murtad, he should be killed. Somebody who killed al-nafs bin nafs, he should be killed also. Ibn Rajab, in his book Jami' al-Ulum wal-Hikam, he tried to link any other place where Islam kills somebody to these 3 things, because he says there is nothing validates the blood of a believer except if he does one of the 3 things. So he said, except if he does one of the 3 things. So he said, this had usul al-qatl fi Islam. You get the root of the causes of what? Assassination, not assassination, of qisas, and killing somebody in Islam either by had or by qisas. He says there are these 3 things mentioned. So he did an excellent job. If you can refer to the book, I believe that you will benefit a lot. So we have 3 types of what they call murder: intentional and shubh al-amd. This is the one that looks like intentional, quasi or quasi murder. So intentional is the one that somebody does it intentionally. This is what they call in usul fiqh ad-dawr, translating a word by itself. Unintentional is somebody that something that you do unintentional. The same dawr also. But Qawamis al-Lugha says, if you translate a known thing, it will turn it into an unknown. But with the description, you will know what is intentional, what is unintentional. Shubh al-amd is a kind of a murder that looks like intentional, but it is not intentional. So we have 3. The one that somebody does it intentionally. How do I know that this person intentionally killed? Intention is an act of the heart. Go to any murder, you get it. Unless if that hatred is too much, they will never confess at the beginning. Ask him first, did you intentionally kill the person? He will tell you what? No, it was khata. Right, how do I know whether he's intentional killing or not? He said, I look at the ala, the weapons he used. Because nobody can convince me. When he takes a gun and put it at the head of somebody and shoot, and then we ask him, why you kill him? He said, nah, I never knew that if I hit shoot him here, he will die. We're just making an experiment. We will do the same thing also in his head. Seriously, for somebody to take a sword and hit somebody with the sword in the place which is maqtal, and then he dies. He says, I never know that if I hit human being in this place, he will die. We will never accept from him. That's intentional. Unintentional is the one that is contrary to that. So look here, in the intentional murder, the act was done and the intention also was there to do the act. In the accidental murder, the act was there but the intention was not there. For example, you're a hunter, you saw a deer, you're trying to shoot it, but unfortunately somebody just crossed the place. You shot him instead of the deer. That was unintentional. You're driving a car, speeding or what, you hit somebody, he died. That's unintentional. It has a lot of examples. And you have the last one is shubh al-amd, the one that looks like intentional but it isn't. This is the one that you use something and you hit a person in a place where usually people don't die because of that. You take a stick and you hit somebody on his leg, on his thigh. You hit him on the head, yes, that's intentional. You want to kill. You can't explain. So, but when you hit him in a place which usually a person will suffer, but he will not just easily die. But unfortunately, that person was so weak. You hit him on the leg, says Master. What is that? That's shubh al-amd. The first one is intentional. We should kill the person who does that. This is what Allah SWT is referring to here. Al-Hurr bil-Hurr. He killed, we kill him. Allah, you're going to see an excellent principle mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the subsequent verse, which shows that the real reason why we are suffering nowadays in this lack of amn is the lack of the application of these ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah. We're going to deal with that inshallah next class. So when somebody killed, you kill him. And then the next class also we're going to deal with the real interpretation of qisas. What is qisas? How do we do qisas? How can we apply the real meaning of qisas upon the person when he kills another person? So when somebody killed, intentionally we kill him. Accidentally, what is upon him is to pay the diya, which is 100 camels. If those people forgive, we will talk about that also. This is what Allah SWT is saying, فَمَنْ رَفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْءٌ فَاتِّبَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَأَدَاءٌ إِلَيْهِ بِإِحْسَانٍ. Because the family of the murdered person, either they forgive to no badil or they forgive to a badil. He's supposed to be killed, but the family of the murdered person, they can say, we forgive, but he has to pay the diya. And we will talk about that diya, inshallah, in the next session being lighter. Shabhul amd, the one that is almost intentional, the best opinion is the one that says we don't kill the one who did because there is no intention to kill. Get it? But the killing happened, but he did not intend it. But we have to intensify the diya. Get it? He pays how many camels? 100 camels. But we force him to pay 25 camels. كلها يعني إناث في بطونها أولادها. Each and every one of those 25, there will be the camels that are pregnant. They carry fetus in them. You know the price is double. So we treat him like that. And likewise, in places where the qisas is not applicable, we intensify the diya. We will talk about that, inshallah. But that is one issue, then I will refresh your mind with it. It will be the last thing we study today. About qadiyatul mubashir. In Islam, there is a very good principle. Al-mubashir wal-musabbib. Who is responsible? In the sun, you have the mubashir, you have the musabbib. What is mubashir? Mubashir lil-fa'il. Somebody caused the action, but another person executes. That is, somebody opens the door, another person executes. I will ask you 3 questions. Get it? If you answer that, then we make conclusion, inshallah. Based on your answers, if it is right. If it's wrong as usual, then we will see how to rectify it. All of us, we have ijma, then we close the class today. These are the examples of those who begin to understand the case of Mubashir or Musabbib. They come to the house and there is a bird in that house. Muhammad opened the door. Get it? He first came to the house and he saw the bird. He opens the door and then he watched. The bird doesn't go out. Abdurrahman came out. Muhammad left the bird doesn't go. Didn't go out. Abdurrahman came. And he said, what kind of a dumb bird is that? The door is open and he doesn't want to go out. So he shook the cage. The bird comes out and ran away. Who pays? Then the door opener or the one who shook the cage within the actual. So in these 3 cases, what is the fatwa? I heard the Mufti from Sudan says, oh, you change your mind now. Okay, that's good. It's always good to make tawbah. So who pays? I'm going to conclude with the principle that I want you to use throughout your life. And that's what almost the consensus of the scholars is established on. There are some controversies, but this is the best opinion. Who will pay? The causer or the one who did the thing? If the thing doesn't fall, Muhammad is good in his practices. So who will pay the price? Is it the causer or the mubashir? Causer, right? Okay, that's wrong. They said in any case where you have the contradiction between the mubashir and the causer. Please do remember this. Whenever you have a contradiction between mubashir and the causer, the one who will be responsible is the mubashir, the one who did the act. The causer will not leave him. The one who dropped him down there, he has another punishment. But the one who received the punishment for the qisas, if there is qisas, but in this case, since he doesn't intend, there is no qisas, who will pay the diya? The one who will pay the diya is the one who did the killing, because he's the one who killed. We cannot hold the causer responsible of the act unless if we cannot hold the mubashir, then we hold the causer. Like what? Like when Firas was dropped down, when he dropped down there was a lion instead of Muhammad. We cannot tell the lion to pay the diya. Then we hold the one who dropped him accountability of the thing. He has to pay the diya. That's why I want you to just go and exercise your mind. Check a case that happens in Yemen. Check the case that happened in Yemen during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. The Yemeni people trapped a lion. So people came to watch the lion. It's a real case that happened during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and Ali bin Abi Talib was there. So people came to watch the lion. You know, everyone's coming to see it. Unfortunately, one of them was pushed inside. So the lion says, well, I will never die alone, right? So that guy was so smart also. What did he do? He got somebody. That guy was so smart also, he got another one, like train. 4 of them get inside and the lion killed them all. Who will pay the diya of those guys? Get it? Riyadh al-Zainiyah, that's assignment starting from the Yemeni people. Get it? Go check please the book and do some Riyadh al-Zainiyah in Qisas issues and get us the real person who pays the diya for those 4 people. So back to the case of the Mubashir. Whenever this one happens a lot, people are commanded to kill a person. Whom shall we kill? This one we are supposed to apply the issue of the Mubashir separately, but then we got a text that says everyone who gets involved is supposed to receive the punishment. Like somebody commanded a person to kill. We kill who? Both. Some scholars said no, we go with this qaida of the Mubashir and Musabbib, we punish the one who killed alone. Because the qaida says, which is agreed upon by many scholars, the qaida says the one who did the action should be held responsible. But in that one, we have to kill whoever participates in that. Why is that? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati al-khulafa ar-rashidin. Also back to Yemen. During the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, around 6 to 9 people killed one person. Umar radiallahu anhu killed them all. Somebody says, but he's only one. Why you kill him? Umar said, لو تمالى عليه أهل صنعاء. He says, if the whole people of Sana'a, they're going to cooperate in the death of this person, I will kill them all. So we got this sunnah that if a group of people agree to kill a person, what shall we do with them? We kill them all. Here we cannot just say, okay, the Mubashir should be punished, the one who causes the assassination should go away with it. No, blood is sacred. All are supposed to be punished. May Allah SWT grant you good and success in life, and may Allah SWT preserve you. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.